Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday, September 30th work session of the Harnett County Board of Commissioners. At this time, I will call the meeting to order and ask Vice Chairman William Morris to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You would bow your heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the many blessings we receive. Thank you for the guidance and the wisdom to do what's best for the people of Harnett County. In Christ's name we pray, amen. Amen. If you would, everybody remain standing for 1 minute. I think, bringing her up now?
Yes.
Come on up, then. This is the Harnett County Heroes Remembrance presentation.
Good morning, Commissioners and citizens of Harnett County. Today marks our first Harnett County Heroes Remembrance presentation. We will be honoring or remembering veterans that appear on our Wall of Heroes. These veterans have received awards for acts of individual heroism, not as a unit. The criteria for placement on the wall is as follows. Must be honorably discharged, must have been born in Harnett County or established residency for at least 5 years or more. The veteran can be living or deceased and must have received one of the following medals: the Medal of Honor, the Silver Star, Distinguished Service Cross, Navy Cross, Air Force Cross, Soldier's Medal, Airman's Medal, Navy Marine Corps Medal, and the Coast Guard Medal, or any other such award, such as the Bronze Star with Valor. The award cannot be unit citation, and it must be for individuals. We are randomly selecting an awardee to be recognized at each Commissioner's meeting. With that said, I would like to call upon Mr. Donald R. Strasburg to come forward, along with his family members, for the presentation of his award and the reading of his citation. Donald R. Strasburg, Sergeant, Bronze Star with Valor Device. For heroism in connection with military operations against a hostile force in the Republic of Vietnam. Sergeant Strasburg distinguished himself by valorous actions on August 25th, 1966. While serving as a senior Special Forces advisor to a Vietnamese company during a search and destroy mission near Ten Phuc. Sergeant Strasburg unit was en route to its objective when it was ambushed by 3 companies of Viet Cong. To calm the shock troops, Sergeant Strasburg hurried the men into a defensive perimeter and directed their return fire, exposing himself to intense mortar and machine gun fire. He called for artillery support as close to his positions as possible and requested a helicopter evacuation of many of the wounded, refusing to take cover himself. He calmly radioed adjustments to the artillery group until the rounds were bursting among the enemy just outside his lines. As the numerically superior hostile force began to penetrate his defensive perimeter, he ordered his men to break through the enemy encirclement and secure a defensive knoll 500 meters away. When air support and reinforcements arrived, Sergeant Strasburg ignored hostile fire to direct the preparation of casualties for evacuation. Then organized his entire unit for extraction, He was one of the last to leave the beleaguered zone. Sergeant Strasburg's courage and guidance while receiving hostile fire inspired his men to remain effective as a fighting unit in the face of overwhelming enemy numbers. Sergeant Strasburg's personal bravery and devotion to duty were in keeping with the highest traditions of military service and reflect great credit upon himself, his unit, and the United States Army. Mr. Trout and Matthew Nickel, Commissioner, would like to present you with your certificate. On September 30th, 2025, your name and citation that appear on the Harnett County Wall of Heroes and will remain so forever as part of the history of Harnett County is duly recognized for your act of heroism while serving in the United States Armed Forces. We, as a county, come together to commend you for your actions and dedication to our great nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Huh?
Right in honor.
That was absolutely outstanding. That was our first Harnett County Heroes Remembrance presentation. It's something we're going to continue to do each meeting. Okay, at this time, I'll now consider any additions and deletions to the published agenda.
Move to approve the published agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Motion is second to approve the published agenda. Any discussion? Everyone in favor? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Outstanding. All right, now we'll move on to the Cape Fear Valley Harnett Health Update. Michael Tart, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, County Manager. Thank you for having us here today. I am Michael Tart. I'm the hospital president for Harnett Healthcare. We are a part of the larger Cape Fear Valley Health System. I've been with the organization now for 12 years in total. Been here at Harnett now for about 9 months and happy to present to you guys this morning. I brought with me our Chief Nursing Officer, Marley Zasek, and our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Tokes Valerin. We will be available if anybody has any questions after the presentation, but we'd be happy to do this on an ongoing basis just to let the county commissioners and county administration know what we have going on and be present for any questions. So Harnett Healthcare is underneath the larger umbrella of Cape Fear Valley Health System. The Cape Fear Valley Health System in total is comprised of 8 hospitals, that being Betsy Johnson in Dunn, Central Harnett in Lillington, and then our primary main medical center down in Fayetteville. We have a rehab and a behavioral health hospital also down in Fayetteville, as well as Highsmith Rainey, which is our long-term acute care hospital. We have a hospital in Hoke County, as well as one down in Bladen County. But this morning, we're going to talk specifically about Harnett Healthcare. I want to provide an update on our stats and our information from 2024 volumes, and then some things that we've got going on this year and coming up next year. Also, in total, we have our slide up here shows about 80 offices. We're now up to about 90 physician offices, and we have 19 ambulatory physician practices here in Harnett County to serve the community. So in 2024, Harnett Healthcare, we had between the 2 hospitals a little over 46,000 total visits. Those were split pretty evenly at about 23,000 apiece between Betsy Johnson and Central Harnett. I will say that this year we're seeing increased volume at Central Harnett as things remain relatively static at Betsy Johnson. So, of course, as the county is growing and we're seeing the majority of that growth occurring on this end of the county, we're seeing those ED volumes increase at Central Harnett. Between the 2 hospitals, we had just under 4,600 total admissions last year, and we're expecting that to grow to about 4,800 this year between the 2. Amongst those 18 ambulatory physician practices, we had a little over 110,000 total visits last year. That's a significant growth over the previous years as we've added additional practices and additional specialties. We've seen those visit volumes grow. We are currently providing surgical services only at Betsy Johnson. We do cardiac catheterizations here at Central currently. Last year at Betsy, we did just under 2,500 surgeries. This year, we'll have close to 3,000 surgeries at Betsy Johnson. We are, and I'll talk about this a little later, planning on bringing surgical services to Central Harnett in the coming year. Currently at Betsy Johnson, we're providing, in terms of surgical services, we're providing for orthopedics, ophthalmology, otolaryngology, or ENT as most people know it, podiatry, GI, and general surgery. We also provide coverage in our EDs for those surgical services as well. At Central Harnett last year, we did around 300 total cardiac catheterizations, and we have the ability to do both diagnostic as well as interventional catheterizations over there. We're providing that service currently on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays in the cath lab. And then in total, if you look at our total radiology studies, we did over 62,000 radiology studies last year. That'll be over 65,000 this year. And we are able to provide plain film X-ray, ultrasound, CT, and MRI services at both hospitals, both on an inpatient, ED, and outpatient. But also we are providing mammograms at Betsy Johnson. We're looking to also grow mammograms and add that service at Central Harnett in the coming year as well. As most of you folks know, Harnett Healthcare is the primary clinical sponsoring location for our residency with Campbell University. For our DO residents there, we are the primary clinical site for 24 internal medicine residents, for 12 total family medicine residents, and then 13 TY or transitional year residents that spend time with us. The Campbell residencies are invaluable to us here at Harnett Healthcare and in Harnett County, because what was once a doctor desert, we are doing a wonderful job, and the Campbell residents are doing a wonderful job of sticking around and staying. We have been able to retain over 50% of those residents that come out of the program here in this community. In fact, we had our 4 family medicine residents that graduated this year, all 4 of them stayed with us and are providing services now in our ambulatory practices here in Harnett County. So what that tells us is that both the residencies are doing a good job, the health system is doing a good job, but also we as a county are providing an excellent experience to those physicians who are choosing to stay here, live here, and practice here. So we're thankful for that. Some new services and growth that we have going on that I want to highlight from the past year and that we have going on in the coming year. At our Health Pavilion Lillington, which is the large multi-story facility on the right-hand side of the campus, the eastern edge of the campus here at Central Harnett, we broke ground in August of 2023 on a 66,000 square foot, 3-story medical office building. That medical office building was completed in October to November of last year. And in November, we opened the Cape Fear Valley Harnett Health Cancer Center in that medical office building on the first floor. We had previously been operating the cancer center first out at Betsy Johnson and then within the 4 walls of the hospital at Central Harnett, but we relocated that to the MOB in November, and we are happy to say that that cancer center is doing well. It is treating dozens of members of our community in radiation oncology therapy services, as well as medical oncology and infusion services every day over there at that cancer center. So that's a blessing to our community. It's a blessing to the health system, and we are happy to provide those services to the county. In December of last year, we opened the second floor of that facility. It's comprised of a total of 8 specialty physician practices. We have there general surgery, orthopedics, otolaryngology, cardiology, neurology, podiatry, and urology clinics, all in that second floor of the MOB. And then in April of this year, our retail pharmacy, which is on the southern end of that medical office building, opened to service not only our outpatient folks who are coming out of clinics, but also the cancer center and also folks who are being discharged from both Betsy Johnson and Central Harnett Hospital who could get their medications as they were discharged and take them home with them. In February of this year, we broke ground on a 15,000 square foot facility on the campus of Central Harnett Hospital. That facility, which is scheduled to open in March of 2026, will be a 16-bed inpatient adolescent psychiatric unit. We have a similar unit down at Cape Fear Valley in Fayetteville. As again, most of the county and citizenry, as well as the commissioners know, behavioral health is a significant healthcare issue for us in this community, and we are putting full faith and effort into meeting that challenge. Child and adolescent psychiatry is woefully deficient, those services within our county as well as within our state, quite frankly. And we feel it's extremely important that we get some inpatient, adolescent, and child psych beds here in this county. So we're very excited about that. We received over $8 million in grant funding. We've received several $100,000 in promised donations towards that from the citizenry, and we're very appreciative of that. We actually just hired our first child psychiatrist who starts next month with us, so we're very excited. We've also put a lot of capital investment into the community, in addition to a lot of the building that's going on and construction, engineering, facilities upgrades. We've also got a new MRI machine coming at Betsy Johnson next month, which is a big upgrade in terms of our ability to diagnose and provide the latest in MRI technology and imaging. We invested in a Mako orthopedic robot it's presently over at the Betsy Johnson operating room. Doctors Anthony Parker, Dr. Graywall, and Dr. Huff have the ability to utilize that robot to provide the latest and greatest in orthopedic surgical care. And then we've done a lot of work to improve our surgical services and expand, as we're planning to do, over to Central Harnett next year. We are constantly recruiting for physicians and providers in this community. In addition to the primary care growth that I mentioned earlier, this past year we have added a second endocrinologist, Dr. Paudell. We have continued to grow our otolaryngology. We're recruiting a second ENT to join Dr. Kyoto to provide surgical and outpatient ENT services to the community. We just hired Dr. Deborah Moore a couple of months ago. She is the first employed urologist who's actually providing surgical urology and ED urology services in the county in over 8 years. So we're extremely happy to have Dr. Moore. Her practice is located in the medical office building here in Lillington. She's currently doing cases over in the OR at Betsy Johnson, and she's providing coverage in the EDs at both hospitals. We also have added an inpatient neurologist on staff now Between the two hospitals, he's able to provide some inpatient neurology consults, which is new for us. We continue to recruit cardiologists. Right now, our cardiology services at both hospitals are provided by Fayetteville Heart Center cardiologists. Dr. Spahecker, Patel, and Lakonda are coming over and providing our consultative services as well as the cardiac catheterizations at Central. And again, we continue to grow our outpatient services at both locations, trying to update our facilities for our outpatient radiology and ED services in both hospitals. And then we have plans to build out what is currently shelled out in the third floor of the Lillington Medical Office building. I know Ainsley would probably echo this, but what we feel our top 3 healthcare priority needs for our county and our community are, number 1, behavioral health services, outpatient, inpatient, and emergency, all 3. Top of the list for us, and I think top of the list for us as a county when you look at our community needs assessment. Healthcare access and quality, the access to primary care and the ability to get to that. It's very important that citizens in our county, especially a rural county like ours where transportation is a significant issue, have the ability to access primary care within 15 minutes of where they live. And so we are dedicated to placing primary care providers and high-quality primary care providers within that distance and that radius of all of the folks within our community. And then I will say the physical health and chronic disease management. We, again, as a very rural county with an underserved population when it comes to healthcare, that healthcare knowledge and the ability for folks to contribute to their own healthcare is extremely important. And so we are thankful to the county, the commissioners, the county administration, who works very well with us, very communicative. We spend time together, try to participate and keep that dialogue going. We welcome all future dialogue, any opportunity to come and present and speak with the Board of Commissioners. And I thank you for the time today. Any questions?
Thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Tart?
I do. Thank you for a very informative presentation. And then I heard you mention about everything in medicine with the exception of your labor and delivery ward.
Yes, sir.
You closed, or not you, but your board closed that some year or so ago.
Yes, sir.
Do we have any plans to replace that?
So right now, that closed, the labor and delivery unit closed in October of 2023. And there were many complicating factors, a lack of utilization of L&D. I think we were doing under 500 deliveries, I think around 400 the last full year that we were open. So it was underutilized. Further cuts in terms of reimbursement, the complicating issues of, overhead expense for managing that unit and the risk, quite frankly, of managing that unit contributed to that. I will say that for me as hospital president, it is extremely important to me that we are able to provide well-rounded, what I call bread and butter services in healthcare in our community. We do believe that OBGYN services are part of those core services that a health system should provide. I think we are intent on bringing those services back to the county at some point in the future. I don't think that will certainly not be in the coming year or the next year, but we will be looking at how we can bring those services back, especially as the community continues to grow and the need for those services continues to increase. When we bring it back, it will be in conjunction with a well-rounded plan for women and children's services, including pediatrics, for the community, to ensure that we have all the wraparound services that make an OBGYN service successful and, quite frankly, attractive to the population. Because when we bring that service back, we need the citizens of the county to utilize that service, because frequency breeds proficiency, especially when it comes to a healthcare service like OBGYN services. So I say this openly to folks, I'll consider it a failure on my part if we don't get OB services back in the community during my tenure here, whatever that looks like. Any comment, Marley or Dr. Falarin?
No, as you all know, it was a very heartbreaking decision to make. You never want to make a decision to take a service away from a community. But we have to be able to do it well and be able to do any kind of risk that comes in, especially 92% of deliveries have no issue. but 8% do, and if you can't take care of that 8%, then, you know, it's devastating. And so we lost sleep over that, lost sleep over trying to decide about keeping it open, but it is our intention to bring it back and bring it back well.
That's more comforting. I mean, the fact that at least you have a plan to bring it back at some point. Until it comes back, I'm assuming that all emergency deliveries are dumped on the ER or the EMS staff that picks them up. That was happening.
Yeah, so we do, it is infrequent, but we do have deliveries come into the ED. If they can be transferred on in time, obviously that occurs. If not, we have skilled emergency department physicians who we feel are capable of handling those emergencies. Obviously, we would prefer for those deliveries not to occur in the ED. We are still providing for antepartum and postpartum care in our Dunn OBGYN clinic. And our folks who go there for antepartum care, that they have the choice to either go down to Cape Fear Valley and deliver with the OBGYN physicians there, or to seek care and delivery services at any of our community hospitals. We just want to ensure that they have the appropriate antepartum and postpartum care to make sure that not only their delivery is safe, but also their carrying through their pregnancy is very safe.
Well, you probably figured my phone has rang over and over and over again about this, so that's why I brought it up. It wasn't
I
an
understand.
intent to ambush you, but
No.
you were here and
No, and I don't consider it an ambush at all. I'm very vocal about that, and all community organizations and opportunities that we have to go speak about that, I'm happy to talk about it, because again, I think we do all consider it, you know, I won't say a failure, because it was an operational decision that was made based on the factors that were, many of which were outside of the control of the health system. But again, we are intent, and we recognize that as a bread and butter core service of a healthcare system in a community like this, and we believe that we should be providing that services, and we're just looking for the opportunity to bring that back.
thank you, sir.
I have a comment. And I'm glad, excuse me, I am pleased to hear that you are thinking about bringing it back, because that was a big part of our service here in Harnett County.
Yes, ma'am.
I served on that board 13 years when things was beginning to build up here. And in fact, when the hospital was built over here, thank you all offer good service in Harnett County and continue to do the good work. And one thing I really admired about the board is that when I was there, we started thinking then about how we could provide service for the people here in this county rather than for them going outside of the
Absolutely.
county.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
that's something I am glad that we achieved.
Yes.
So,
And
thank you for
again,
your-
we're intent on bringing those core services, even those specialty and subspecialty services that people are having to leave the county to go get. We're trying to bring them here so that we can provide all those services, and so that we can increase our coverage in the emergency departments for those specialty services as well. Thank
Thank
you.
you for the work you're doing.
Any other questions? Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners. We appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much, sir. Hey, discuss a request to approve updates to the FAMPO MOU. I don't see Mr. Hank Graham here. Oh,
Good morning, everyone. My name is Luther Langley. I am a transportation planner with the Fayetteville Area Metropolitan Planning Organization. Director Graham was not able to make it this morning, but I'd love to cover this item with you. This is a request to approve an amendment to the current Memorandum of Understanding, and it has three main purposes. So returning the Fort Bragg name to where Fort Liberty was referenced previously in the previous MOU, and a Federal Highway Administration requirement to add the Fayetteville Area System of Transit to our TAC board, or Transportation Advisory Committee. And then the establishment of an executive committee, which is made up of the TAC, who can make administrative decisions regarding the MPO and its management.
any questions or comments? Pleasure of the board to add this to the consent agenda for approval.
Yes.
Go ahead and add this to the consent agenda, Madam Clerk. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Presentation of the 26 schedule of values. Ms. Christine Wallace, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. This morning I have for you the presentation of the schedule of values. I have with me today Ryan Vincent from Vincent Valuation, so we'll be working together to bring this presentation to you. This is the schedule of values. Yes, sir.
You just scoot that podium.
You want me to
There's just
slide it
something
over?
about it that's
Are we not
bothering me. Right there.
aligned?
There we go.
go.
All right.
You
thank
like
much. My apologies.
That's okay. This is the schedule of values, it's 351 pages. Printed it front and back for space needs, but it will be on display in my office starting today for public review. We will go through the presentation this morning, and there are a few review items that we'll kind of cover as a general practice that, we know that we are required by state law to have a reappraisal once every 4 years, and the process resets the values to market value as of January 1st, 2026. This reappraisal will distribute the overall property tax burden across the county based on the current market value for the next 4-year billing cycle through 2030. We talked about previously that values do not change generally from revaluation cycle to revaluation cycle, except for new construction and additions and deletions and permitted changes. And we are still hovering in the 79,000 parcel range. So the objective for reappraisal is always to appraise value at 100% of market value as of the January 1st date, and that is all property, real and personal, in its true value in money, and that true value in money being the estimated exchange of money between a willing buyer and seller with no compulsion to sell or buy, and then also being fully aware of its uses. So what is our market value? So over time, most properties change in value, and that often occurs at different rates depending on location and property characteristics. So what we look to do is we don't create the market value in the tax department. We analyze those sales to determine patterns and trends. You will see some examples of those in our presentation. Ryan will go over those with you all. And then this sales study, it reflects all buildings and structure types, different land codes, and market factors. And this allows for a fair and equitable valuation for all owners in a specific area. We've talked about our process. We're still where we were a few weeks ago. This is kind of a holding pattern for us as we continue to review land and building and value sales within our market. And then our calendar, once again, we are on track to finish our modeling and review, and then we will anticipate mailing the notice of value changes in March of '26, and then to open up our appeals period. So I am going to turn it over to Ryan.
All right, thank you. So today we have like Christine said, we have the schedule of values. So General Statute 105-317 says that we must present a schedule to the board for consideration and approval. So this schedule is the rules and rates in which we use to conduct the reappraisal. So again, these rates come from property sales that are analyzed, and some things that we consider and some things that are difficult for us are if you have, say, cathedral ceilings and we don't know. So just so we're clear, we don't go inside anybody's houses unless we're requested to do so. So we analyze sales. We look at what land is selling for, what buildings are selling for. We look at construction costs also are considered as part of the schedule. And we use that to develop rates and tables to conduct the reappraisal. So we do it a little bit differently than a fee appraiser would, because again, we're responsible for valuing almost 80,000 parcels as of one particular day in Harnett County. So that's why we use mass appraisal techniques and not so much fee appraisal techniques. Ultimately, we're both looking for the same thing, a fee appraisal versus a mass appraisal, which is market value as of a particular day. We do it very similar to all other taxing jurisdictions, not only across North Carolina, but across the United States based on their state laws. There's some variation from state to state. So what we're going to see next are some areas and changes that we've been seeing. So what we have is an area and a year built on a house, the previous 2022 assessed value, and a recent sale. So we'll go through these. We have 15 or 20 of these. So here's one in Anderson Creek. This one was built in 2009. It was assessed for right at $200,000. It sold in May of 25 for $310,000. That's an increase of 55%. Next one was built in 1948. This one was assessed for $152,000. It sold for $220,000, and that's an increase of 45%. Next one was built in 2007. It was assessed for $169,000. Just sold in June for $285,000. That's an increase of 68%. Next one was built in 1975. It was assessed for $238,000. It sold last year, towards the end of last year, for $400,000. That's an increase of 68%. Next one was built in 1982. It was assessed for $193,000. It sold for $280,000, and that's an increase of 45%. Next one in Duke Township was assessed for $122,000, and it sold for $170,000. That's an increase of 39%. Next one was built in 88, was assessed for $163,000, sold in February of this year for $260,000, and that's an increase of 59%. Next one was built in 2006. It was assessed for $283,000, sold for $415,000 in June. That's an increase of 46%. Next one was assessed for $216,000, sold for $270,000. That's an increase of 25%. And we moved to Lillington. This one was built in 1940, was assessed for $107,000, sold for $180,000. That's an increase of 67%. This one was assessed for $230,000, sold for $355,000. That's an increase of 54%. In Stewart's Creek, this one was built in 2009, was assessed for $226,000, sold for $310,000 in June of 24. That's an increase of 37%. This one was built in 1970, was assessed for $176,000, sold in July for $255,000. That's an increase of 45%. A couple examples of manufactured homes. This one was built in 94, was assessed for $82,000, sold for $165,000. That's an increase of 99%. This one was built in 2003, was assessed for $120,000, sold for $206,000. That's an increase of 71%.
$100,000 trade.
Move to some commercial examples. This one was built in 2000, was assessed for $444,000, sold for $560,000 in this last summer in May, and that's an increase of 26%. This one was built in 1920, was assessed for $160,000, sold for $215,000. That's an increase of 34%. And the last example we have was built in 1940, was assessed for $267,000 and sold for $465,000 in April. That's an increase of 74%. So what we want to do there is just to demonstrate for the board and for the public what the market is doing. Again, these are sales within the last few months, as far back as about a year from now. So this is just to demonstrate what's going on in the market with the actions of the buyers and sellers.
So at the end of the day, you're talking about roughly a 48% increase in valuation.
Yeah, we're still working on that right now. We still have a few more months of sales that haven't occurred. So our valuation date is January 1st. So we're reviewing those properties. We're actively valuing them right now. But we will continue that process all the way up until the notices go out. We consider sales all the way through the end of December of 2025. But right now, as you can see from these sales, there is a substantial increase in value in the market from the previous reappraisal from 4 years
Do you
ago.
have a similar information on raw land?
We can get you something. We don't have any examples of raw land in here,
I
but
don't know if you had some.
yeah, we didn't pull any of that for this presentation. But if you'd like, we could follow up with that, or we could include some land in the next presentation when we come and present this before the board or before the public. We'd be happy to include that in the next presentation.
I have a question. What do you think is driving all this increase in value of homes in Harnett
Supply and
County?
demand.
Yeah. So this is the third of four schedule value presentations we're doing for our 2025 reappraisal counties, and Harnett County is no different in the increases we're seeing than counties in the west, counties in the east, other counties in the central area. And I get asked that question every place I go, be it a public meeting or if anybody finds out what I do. North Carolina is a place that people want to be. A lot of people are moving here. I think y'all see it with the growth and the amount of stuff that comes before this board in regards to growth and new subdivisions, people wanting to move here, and the effects of that. When I first started here back in 2019, I think we had low 60,000 parcels, 65-ish thousand, and we're up to almost 80,000 now. And that's just in the course of a few years. So there is a lot of growth coming. There's a lot of spillover from Raleigh. Land is frankly a lot cheaper here than it is in Wake County. And housing prices are still very competitive if you compare them to an hour drive around us. And that all drives that. The other factor is just the industry that's coming here. The jobs are here. There's jobs in Raleigh, and it all plays into what people are willing to pay and what they can afford to pay for housing.
Just one thing. Some of those properties you just showed, I would be very much not happy with your evaluation of it. That one little building, there's no way that, I don't understand how somebody will pay that kind of money for that. It makes no sense to me. And what scares me about this whole thing is that,
Somebody did.
I know, that's what I'm saying, the economy right now is starting to go the other direction now. And this stuff was all during
The peak.
the best time around. So I know what's going to happen. It's going to fall off, and then we're going to get hammered
For the next 4
over.
years.
Well, if I may, this, maybe you can shine a light on something for me here with the raw land. How is these numbers with the increases, obviously, I mean, 4 or 5 years ago, we were paying $5,000 or $6,000 an acre for 100 acres at a time, and now it's 20,000. How is this going to affect our farmland and timberland deferment?
So that's a really good question, and I'll let Christine cover that. But there is the programs; those programs are still in effect.
Yeah, so there is a present use value program, so that is still a very vibrant program here in Harnett County with over 5,000 parcels enrolled. And those values are, the present use value is given to us as a recommendation from the state of North Carolina, and that is part of the schedule of values.
So you get a figure to value it at, and that's the deferment versus it's not a percentage of what the average is.
Correct. So all like open land or farmland, raw land, however you want to describe it, it is still valued at a market value.
Mm-hmm.
But if it is enrolled and qualifies for the present use value program, then it receives a present use value rate per acre with a maximum of $1,200 per acre. And that is through the state of North Carolina and through the rent study that is provided through the Department of Revenue.
Thank you.
And one of the pieces that I think is important to touch on too, as we see values increasing, is there is programs administered through the tax office that are dictated to us through the state. There is a veterans program and an elderly and disabled program to help people with discounts on property taxes. The qualifications are set by the state, so we nor this board can make any decisions or changes to that. That's done at the General Assembly level. But if you know anybody who might qualify for something like that, please have them contact the tax office and they can walk them through that process as to if they qualify for that at all. So that's, just get one more slide.
So yeah, this was the last slide before the questions, but this is still a timeline of events for our next steps. Like I said, we have to advertise that the schedule of values is available for public viewing. And so that advertisement will be administered through the newspaper. It has to stay there for 4 weeks. So we'll get that done. And then we will look to have a public hearing on November the 3rd for public input. And then a possible vote, hopefully on November 17th, to keep us on schedule. So, any other questions?
Any questions or comments? No. Well, thank y'all very much.
Thank you. Oh, I'm next again,
Yeah,
sorry.
you're still up. Discuss a request to approve borrowing off taxes for 2015.
So basically what the agenda item states is the request, the 2015 taxes to be borrowed off in the amount of $26,435.47. They were within that 10-year borrow off time period. We will no longer be able to enforce collections on this amount of money. So that is either wage garnishment, sheriff levy, et cetera. So we're just requesting to borrow those off for the 2015 taxes.
Put it on consent.
Good. Go ahead and add this to consent agenda. Thank you much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, discuss a request to establish an increased fees for the health department. Ms. Ainsley Johnson, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Today, I'm here to ask for approval to approve 2 new fees for the health department and 5 increased fees. So our 2 new fees that we would like requested are for a new vaccine that we need to provide is Jynneos. It's for Mpox. The recommended fee is $356. The second fee is for a prolonged outpatient evaluation and management visit at $83. And the next 3 you'll see are for flu vaccine, and they're listed by brand. So Fluad is our high-dose vaccine that's for 65 years and older, and that recommended price is $99. Fluzone, $24. Flucelvax, $50. In addition, we are asking to increase our administration fee for flu and pneumonia to $32.09. These fees were approved by our fee-setting committee and the Board of Health on September 25th.
Questions, comments? Pleasure of the board.
Consent.
Consent.
Go ahead and add this to consent agenda as well. And you are up again, ma'am, to discuss a request to approve the 25 bad debt write-offs for the health department.
So I'm also asking approval of debt write-offs in accordance with our clinical patient fee policy. So this amount is $2,403.22. We do this every 2 years. It's uncollected fees that are under $50 and 2 years from the client's last date of service. So all appropriate efforts have been made to collect these past due fees. Should a patient return to the health department, the fees will be reinstated, but we are asking today approval to write off the amount of $2,403.22.
Go ahead and add this to consent agenda as well. Thank you very much, ma'am. Discuss a request to approve a memorandum of understanding with Cumberland County to supply water from the new water treatment plant facility to be built in Irwin. Mr. Tommy Burns, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. Before you is an MOU with Cumberland County. As you know, we're in the process of designing the new water plant in Irwin, and Cumberland County had reached out to us several months ago and wanted us to consider their request for an additional 6 million gallons of water to supply to Cumberland County. This MOU formalizes that request from Cumberland to Harnett County, and it also allows us to go ahead and build that into our design of the plant. A more formal and final MOU will come back to you through an interlocal agreement at a later date and time that will specify the cost sharing arrangements and operational cost sharing and things like that on into the future. But again, this is just a formal MOU that declares their intent that they would like to be provided 6 million gallons a day. And that will help us, as I mentioned, in designing that plant and sizing it appropriately in the first phase. I'll be happy to answer any questions or concerns you may have.
I just want, having been involved in this a little bit, I just want to say thank you for the hard work you and your staff have put in it, and making this finally come together.
Sure. Well, Mr. Royer helped us with the MOU and getting that together too, so.
I'm sorry, I left, always
Definitely
leave
a
out the
team
lawyer
effort.
if you're gonna leave out somebody.
Any other questions or comments? Pleasure of the board to go ahead and add the
Put it on
consent
the
agenda.
agenda.
We'll go ahead and add this as well. Thank you
Thanks,
very
sir.
much, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Discuss a request to purchase body worn cameras for the detention center. Mr. Gary McNeil, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Yes, the sheriff is requesting the board to allow us to enter into a contract with Axon Enterprise to purchase over 5 years body cameras for the detention officers in the jail. The first year implementation, the sheriff will use asset forfeiture money to pay the first year installment of around $73,000. The next 4 years, we will include the cost, approximately $39,000 in our request in our annual budget that's presented to the board.
Questions or comments? I think it's outstanding. Pleasure of the board to add this to the consent agenda. We'll go ahead and add this as well, Madam Clerk. You're up again, sir. Discuss a request to approve the purchase of service weapons by retirees.
Yes, sir. Sheriff is asking that we, which is a general practice, to issue the service weapon back to employees or deputies who retire. They must have at least 5 years of service to Harnett County to qualify for this. So we've had several retirees this year, and we're asking that we'll allow them to buy their weapons back for $1.
Outstanding.
Put it on consent.
Put it on the agenda.
We'll go ahead and add this as well, Madam Clerk. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Discuss the fall litter sweep campaign. Ms. Morgan Pope, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm here this morning to discuss Keep Harnett Beautiful, which is our litter sweep initiative that I have been working with our Soil and Water Conservation District as well as solid waste. We have had, back in 2021, the very first year that I started this, our spring litter sweep had only 73 volunteers. This past April, we have had 509 just for that month. Our spring litter sweep runs through the whole month of April. Our fall litter sweep runs through the whole month of October, which is coming up. So our trash bash is what we like to call it. We invite citizens to conduct litter sweeps throughout the county, whichever area of the county they may be in. We can provide trash bags, picker-uppers, neon vests, and anything else that might be needed to conduct a successful sweep. We also coordinate removal of all debris conducted during a sweep coordinated through us.
That's my grandbaby. Cut off.
Trying to hit this, pardon for a second.
Yeah, that's okay.
This is not a
I apologize. Just my grandbaby.
Okay, so basically our fall litter sweep is coming up for October. Any citizens that want to reach out, they can contact me. Our information is on the main website, the Soil and Water page, and Keep Harnett Beautiful page as well. I can be reached by email at mpope@harnett.org, or my cell is 910-514-2054. Do you guys have any questions for me?
What's your comment from Ms. Pope?
Good.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
I appreciate it. Discuss a request to apply for funding for a conservation easement project for the Curran Home Place. Ms. Lambert, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioners. This morning, I'm here to request permission to apply for funding through the North Carolina Department of Agriculture's Agricultural Development and Farmland Preservation Trust Fund for a conservation easement to be placed on the Curran Homestead, which is approximately 50 acres of farmland in western Harnett County. We are applying for the amount of $161,320. The required project match will be provided by the landowner through a development rights donation. So there's no required financial match from the county. And this application request was approved by our Soil and Water Conservation Board at our September board meeting.
Questions or comments from Ms. Lambert? Pleasure of the board to add this as well to the consent agenda.
Consent.
We'll go ahead and do that. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Discuss a request to purchase NATEP storage arrays and software. Mr. Hirehall, good morning, sir.
So let's avoid the boring stuff, but I'll be glad to talk the technology at any point. But basically, we need to replace our core storage. It's a little over 4 years old. Warranty and support run out in the spring. So we need to go ahead and get something in place now so we can migrate our data from the old one to the new one. I was just calculating and back in the back. I think this is the 6th time I've done this since in my career here. So just a routine thing. We have budget for it. I come before you because it's a $483,000 purchase, and I need your approval to move forward with it. So I'm just asking for board approval to go ahead and get this purchase so we can get the migration started.
But we don't have to match anything, huh?
But it's coming out of their budget.
No, yeah, we budgeted for it. It's good to go. We've got the money for it.
Put it on the agenda.
Good. We'll go ahead and add this consent agenda as well, Madam Clerk.
Okay.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
Discuss a request to authorize the chairman to execute a needs-based Public School Capital Fund 2526 grant application for a Harnett Career Technical Education High School. Mr. Brent Trout, and please note there may be action taken on this item.
Thank you, Chairman. The school has forwarded us a grant application they are going to submit to the state in order to receive funding for ACTE high school. That process they put in for, and they receive a portion of the funding for the project. They would eventually need the county commissioners to submit the other or approve the funding for it. This is a application they've submitted the last couple of years, and they're very hopeful that this year may be the year that they're able to be chosen. This is something that they've had an interest in doing for a great deal of time. It's a total project cost of around $90 million. $62 million would come from the state government, and $28 million would come from the county.
So this is for the vocational school, correct?
Yes.
Outstanding.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion we approve this authorization.
I have a motion and a second to approve the authorization for this grant application. Is there any discussion on this topic?
I think it's well needed in the environment that the world is going now. We need trade people badly.
I think this would be a great step for Harnett County to go ahead and I'm surprised nobody else is spearheading this, at least by now. So outstanding. Any other questions or comments?
Well, like I say, some have spearheaded some educational. But it's not that no one has entered it.
No, this is for a vocation. This is for.
I know what it's for. I think it's a great idea. No question about that.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimously, Madam Clerk. Okay, well, this time we'll review applications to serve on boards and committees. There were 2 resignations, one from Mr. David Hesselmeyer from the Board of Health, and also the Harnett County Historic Properties Commission, Mr. Matthew Willis has asked to resign. If the board has no issues with that, we'll go ahead and accept their resignations. All right. And then there are 2 other applications, one for the Harnett Commission for Women and Youth. Miss Alicia Fleming from District 1 would like to be considered for reappointment.
Yeah, I know, Alicia.
Okay.
So I can.
We'll go ahead and add her to the consent agenda if there's no objection.
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Well, I understand that board has had trouble acquiring a quorum for something.
Yeah, I think information that I had from Jamie and Melissa was we should be at a quorum now.
Okay.
And with these recent appointments, and we should be able to have a meeting and see if we can get organized with a purpose and action step to make worthwhile to continue. So.
All right, thank you.
Outstanding. And then another one from the Board of Equalization and Review. Mr. Michael Jackson would like to be considered for reappointment as well.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend reappointment of Mr. Jackson.
All right. So if there's no objection, we'll go ahead and add Mr. Michael Jackson as well as Mr. David, or as Miss Alicia Fleming for the consent agenda next week for approval. All right. County Manager's Report, Mr. Trout.
Thank you, Chairman. The first item I want to discuss is the October 28th, 2025 work session. So it just so happens that work session falls in a time frame that the county managers and assistant county managers will be out of the office to attend the International City Managers Association Conference during that week. So the question I have for the board as we prepare a month from now is whether you would like to have that meeting and have our senior staff attorney, Mr. Appel, sit in my seat and go ahead and have the meeting, or to cancel the meeting.
No objection if we have a sit-in on pleasure of the board.
I'm fine canceling or having it, don't matter to me.
I don't guess there's any way at this time to know what
No, right
amount
now
of
we
business
don't.
we might have at that
Right,
time.
it really is. The option would be is if there was something that we would normally put on a work session agenda and we canceled the meeting, it would then go on the agenda for the action meeting as new business. That way it could be, since we will not have considered it before, it cannot go on consent agenda. We would just put it on new business and we would have more items than normal on new business. It's entirely up to you. I mean, we can make it worthwhile, keep the agenda light as much as possible, but right now we have no items on that agenda right now that we know are going to happen.
I would say since we've kicked around the idea possibly of, switching around some meetings or doing things different, this might be a pilot way to go ahead and see how that would operate if we would go ahead and put those items on the regular meeting agenda. So if the board is in favor, we can go ahead and cancel the 28th work session and then move those items to the following week.
But no offense to Mr. Appel, I think that would be a good decision. Chair. Thomas, you can tell him I said
Pleasure of the board. Is that fine with you? All right.
Okay.
That's
All
all
right,
we'll go ahead
thank
and
you.
do.
I just wanted to make sure that way we can put out plenty of notice to the public. That's our plan.
Outstanding. Thank you, sir.
All right, next item I have, I just want to remind folks that there is a survey currently active regarding our meeting dates and times, that the public would like to give us their opinion about potential changes to that schedule that the board runs. We sure appreciate your input. Also wanted to remind folks that currently we have the Community Health Assessment Survey out as well. The Harnett County Health Department has partnered with Campbell University to conduct the 2025 Community Health Assessment. The Health Assessment Survey gives residents the opportunity to share their experiences, concerns, and priority related to health in Harnett County. Responses help the Health Department and community partners identify the county's top health needs. Your input guides decisions about programs, services, and resources to directly impact you, your family, and the community as a whole. So we ask that encourage each resident to complete this survey so that we can have that information. The survey is located on the Health Department and County Government webpage. Paper copies are located at the front desk of the Health Department if you want to follow that way. The last two items I have relate to budget issues and concerns. So we're currently monitoring the possibility of the federal government shutdown. Where that might impact us most directly is we operate Veterans Treatment Court on a couple of federal grants. If the government were to shut down, we would have to look at doing budget amendments to our budget with them to use county funds instead of the federal funds in order to keep it going. Amy has the information, and should we end up having a shutdown, we can detail what changes we would need to make, and we can consider those at the October 6th meeting. But anyway, and there's more questions or answers as far as the exact total, but we would have to look at other funds basically to be able to keep that going. We're also monitoring the changes that occurred related to the decisions by the state General Assembly related to Medicaid payments. We will be affected in two areas primarily. Our health department reimbursement rates will be reduced anywhere from 3 to 8%. So that will hurt our revenue side related to the health department operations, and also emergency management. Our ambulance services, we will have for Medicaid patients a reduction of 3 to 8% on what we're able to be paid by the state for ambulance transportation. So we're monitoring those issues, and we'll see as it comes forward. We'll update you.
Outstanding.
That's all I have.
I guess the mood changes after all that COVID money dries up, huh? All right, I understand we have a need for a closed session.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, I move the board go into closed session for the following purpose: consultation with the instructions to the county legal staff in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege concerning the handling of certain litigation, namely the case of Stephen Botch and all versus Josh Stein and all, file number 324-CV00783 FDW DC Key, and this motion is made pursuant to General Statute 143-318-11A3.
So moved.
We got a motion and a second for closed session. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We'll move into closed session. being an open session, I'll call the meeting back to order, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion and a second to adjourn, we are adjourned.